Hello and welcome to 10-Minute Elections. Today is Thursday, July 16th, 2020, and today we are going to be discussing the 2020 election and the makeup of the Supreme Court now and going forward. So, you see on your screen, I have pulled up the judicial ideological scores from liberal to conservative. We'll get to those and how the 2020 election and the winner, either Joe Biden or Donald Trump, could potentially shape that and the ideology of the court. But first, I want to unpack a few primary results from Tuesday. We had primaries in Alabama, Texas, and Maine. So in Alabama, Tommy Tuberville, as expected, beat Jeff Sessions, although it was by a slightly larger than expected margin. Tuberville getting about 60% of the vote there and winning all but 3 counties in Alabama. In Texas, MJ Heger did beat out Royce West. Heger was the DSCC endorsed candidate and expected to win. What was not expected was a very close margin. Heger only won this one by 4 points. So the Democratic electorate in Texas is a bit more divided than was expected. But MJ Heger, with a whole lot of fundraising, will go on to face John Cornyn in November. What should scare Republicans, though, is the turnout. The turnout in a runoff election in these circumstances in the state of Texas here was massive. So this turnout should be very nice numbers for Democrats and a little bit scary for Republicans, especially considering Texas is a state they absolutely need to win in November. If Hillary Clinton had won all of the blue states in 2016 plus Texas, that is 270 electoral votes. One more primary, and that's Maine. Sarah Gideon ran away with this one as expected. Betsy Sweet, the progressive, a very distant second to Gideon, the moderate Speaker of the State House. So Sarah Gideon will go ahead and face Susan Collins in November, where Gideon is currently a slight favorite to upset the longtime incumbent. All right, let's get into video. We have 4 liberal justices right now on the court and 5 conservatives. Sonia Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the more progressive justices, and Breyer and Kagan. Breyer, a Clinton appointment. Kagan, an Obama appointment. More moderate ones. Kagan, the only justice here that was not a former circuit court judge elevated. She was the Solicitor General to the United States. And then on the conservative side, we have the Chief Justice and swing vote John Roberts, appointed by George W. Bush. Samuel Alito, a bit further to the right, also appointed by W. Bush. Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, Donald Trump's appointees, and Clarence Thomas all the way over on the right, appointed by George H.W. Bush. But because he was appointed when he was only 43 years old, he is still going strong, the longest tenured member of the court, but only the 3rd oldest. So the 2020 election has monumental consequences for the court either way, because it's currently a 5-4 majority, although John Roberts has become a bit more liberal. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 87 years old right now. So she will probably either retire or be forced off the court, maybe for health reasons, sometime in the next 5 years. So it has been widely assumed that she is just waiting for a Biden presidency to retire. I'm not exactly sure if that's the case. It's hard to tell with Supreme Court justices, but I would expect a Ginsburg retirement, assuming a Biden presidency, potentially even if Trump wins another term. And at that point, we'll have to see what happens to the Senate. The Senate's important. I do want to talk about the Senate briefly, and I will be making a video on the 2022 midterm elections. But basically, just like the 2018 midterm Senate map was brutal for Democrats in what was supposed to be a blue wave year, the 2022 map looks absolutely brutal for Republicans. If Donald Trump wins another term, the losses they'll suffer in the Senate in 2022, they may not be able to recover from for another 6 to 8 years. And even if there's a Biden presidency, we'll probably see Chuck Schumer expand on his majority, much like Mitch McConnell did by 2 seats in 2018. First, we saw him before the midterm elections with 51 seats, and then the Republican Party gained 2 to make it a 53 to 47 majority. But anyway, so Ginsburg is 87. Stephen Breyer's also 81. I don't think he's as likely to retire in Ginsburg, but it would not surprise me. I do think he would retire in a 2-term Biden presidency or a 2-term Democratic presidency, but even just a one-term Biden presidency, it would not surprise me at all to see Breyer retire, replaced by a younger justice that would presumably, considering Joe Biden's ideology, fit pretty much where he does on the court, if not slightly to the left. Clarence Thomas is also 72, and there's widespread speculation of him retiring. He has said that he has no intention to. People close to him have said that he has no intention to. I think if he retired, it would be within the next few months, although I don't think he's going to be on the court for another 12 years. I think eventually, I know a lot of justices say they intend to serve until they die. I got a life appointment. I intend to fill that out, but it's frankly just not practical. And I think Clarence Thomas will go at some point. I think if Biden's two-term president, I do think we can expect to see that vacancy filled, especially under a Democratic Senate. The justice that there's actually been a lot of whispers regarding retirement is Samuel Alito. He is 70 years and has served on the Supreme Court for 15 years. He is not nearly as old as some of the other justices, but he is expected to retire soon. Well, not necessarily expected. There have been a lot of rumors floating around that he is seriously considering it. I don't think he would do it under a Trump presidency, but we could actually see an Alito retirement under a Biden presidency. If Joe Biden turns out to be a one-term president, Republicans win the White House in 2024, then we may see him retire then. But I don't think he would, especially with retirement rumors circulating at this point. I don't think he or Clarence Thomas would retire after 2 terms of Joe Biden or 2 terms of Democratic presidents. So the reason that the 2020 election specifically has such big impacts, besides the retirement, strategic retirements have become more and more common these days, with Stephen Breyer saying it will certainly become a factor in his retirement when he does. If Donald Trump was to win re-election, and let's say it's a 51-49 or a 50-50 Senate after the 2020 election, we would probably see Ginsburg, Breyer, and potentially even Thomas and Alito all retire, which would give conservatives a 7-2 majority. I think either Ginsburg or Breyer would stick around one more term, but I think certainly if Trump was to win another term and McConnell was to hold on to the Senate, because Republicans will not keep the Senate in 2022 if Trump wins re-election. So it would almost certainly need to be in those first 2 years, January 2021 to 2023. We could see, I think, one of Ginsburg or Breyer, and probably Ginsburg, retire, which would give conservatives a 6-3 majority on the court. If Joe Biden wins, however, and especially if the Democrats can take 50 seats in the Senate, maybe 51, I'm looking at 52 right now, and if Kobach wins the GOP primary in Kansas, that could be even 53 seats for the Democrats. I don't really see any justices retiring in Joe Biden's first term, aside from Ginsburg and probably Breyer as well. I do think Breyer would retire under a Biden presidency, be replaced by a liberal justice, which would maintain 4 seats for the liberals. But I think if Joe Biden were to win a second term, we could potentially see Alito and Thomas both retire. And if the Democrats were holding on to the Senate, or at least Republicans would allow the justices a confirmation hearing, that would give Democrats potentially as much as a 6-3 majority on the court. With Sotomayor and Kagan both being very young, they're not going to retire anytime soon on the liberal side. And with Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, and probably Roberts. Roberts is 65, but I don't think we'll see him retire all that soon. None of these justices are to retire just quite yet on the conservative side. So that's 3, well, if you include John Roberts in that, 3 conservative justices and 2 liberal justices that'll be around for a long time. Although we don't really know what John Roberts is going to do at this point. It's anyone's guess. And Breyer and Ginsburg on the liberal side, and then Thomas and Alito on the conservative side. We don't really know when they're going to retire. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I believe, will be the next to retire. It'll be interesting to see, and we could see 6-3 majorities either way within the next decade. And I think certainly if liberals want to have a shot at keeping the court at least within arm's reach, Joe Biden needs to win the 2020 presidential election so he could fill those spots. Thank you guys for watching today's video. We've got a lot of great content coming up, so I hope you enjoyed today. On Monday, I'll be discussing gubernatorial elections. Thursday is going to be a Montana State of the Day, and the following Monday will be that 2022 midterm overview. So again, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next Monday.